Good morning, good morning. I believe the most important meal of the day deserves the most important show of the day. And today's breakfast epiphany was inspired by a trend I keep noticing where games media outlets have gone green. They are recycling each other's stories and citing each other as the main sources. Ingenious loophole. If you get fired, though, are you then allowed to use each other as job references too? As it went, games media outlet Gematsu, or Gematsu, is it GIF or GIF, incorrectly reported the Switch release of Broken Roads was cancelled, when that was not true in any way, shape, or form. Mistakes happen all the time. The reporting on a cancellation in the video game industry is akin to prematurely printing out an obituary. It's a grave matter, and hard to imagine how journalistic pieces get that one wrong, what with the whole citing of sources being a big part of the job. The public is allowed to speculate and bereave under false pretenses, not you, games journo. You have to find the body and talk to the next of kin before you're allowed to make it about yourself. But again, mistakes happen. And this was one outlet. Until it was 3 outlets, and it must have been a slow news day because GameRant, Go Nintendo, and Agromania essentially copy and pasted Gematsu's homework, but tweaked it just enough to make it look like their own. And I do have to give Go Nintendo credit, though, for putting in more effort to personalize the story. I can practically envision someone crying over a keyboard, dressed in funeral attire, only from the waist up, of course, because they probably work from home, as they lament a life taken too soon. And here's what they wrote. While we are used to seeing Switch versions of games come later, a representative for Drop Bear Bytes has confirmed that the Switch version has been flat out cancelled, according to Gematsu. After waiting over 2 years to get Broken Roads on Switch, it's incredibly disappointing to have it all end in a cancellation. Even more frustrating is the fact that no reason for the game's cancellation was given. Looks like if you want to see what Broken Roads is all about, you'll have to play it elsewhere. Poetry. Haunting words from Raw Meat Cowboy. Can't imagine the level of sorrow you must have felt that prevented you from opening a new tab and asking the developers if this was true or not while you were writing the piece. The developers themselves, Drop Bear Bytes, had to go on Twitter and call out these sites, bars. Gematsu was scolded for their false report, and the other sites were given smacks on the hand as well for circulating the false report without verifying the claims. Drop Bear Bytes stated there was no release date yet for the Switch, and Gematsu, in a rewrite, said they mistook that as meaning the Switch launch was cancelled. And I understand, whenever I ask my friend when their cousin's birthday is going to be and they say there's no date for it set yet, I just assume they committed suicide. So then I go to Facebook to tell everyone, and the likes I accrue attract sponsors, and this helps me to cope. Please try not to judge too harshly. We all deal with someone else's grief in our own way. So why not come down to Mike's Garage and Hair Salon for a free haircut with every tire change? Your hair deserves the blowout, not your car. This is not the first time games media sites recycle a story, cite themselves, and it turns out the original source barely moved their big toe when it came to measuring the legwork. Back in October of 2023, I, like many others, stared wide-eyed and mouth agape as the story circulated of a Baldur's Gate 3 serial killer stuffing a house full of bodies. He was murdering every NPC he could get his hands on. Now, I like getting my stories as close to the source as possible, so I noticed the articles were all pointing back to Dexerto, and Dexerto themselves were pointing back to Reddit of all places. So it wasn't that hard to message the original player and get an interview in which this very sweet individual told me the stories were overblown and I was the only person that reached out to him to find out what happened. It's crazy to think that messaging someone, hey, is this you, can get you a bigger scoop than the flecks of ice cream games media outlets flick into the cone. I'm not sure when this happened, but at some point, games media sites formed the habit of reformatting each other's publications, citing each other as sources, and also reporting on the happenings of social media. In essence, going from being the conversation starters to being your grandmother printing out and sending you Facebook memes with the iFunny watermark still visible in the corner. It's a sad state of affairs. But it's not their fault, at least not the fault of the writers on the ground. If you're wondering how this happens, it's because the higher-ups of these publications have chosen to bank on SEO, which stands for Search Engine Optimization. Basically, there's a way to format your websites and the content to make it more likely for Google or any other search engine to show your page when people search for something. And the big thing the big Google rates a website on is relevancy to search queries. Meaning, if a lot of people are searching what is a hair blowout, then Google will show the articles it calculates as most relevant to the search. It gives bonus points for stuff like having pictures, maps, definitions, and so websites are designed around being as optimized as possible so Google will show them to more people and hopefully get as many clicks as possible. Because no one scrolls too far before they find a satisfactory answer or they reword their search question. Be honest, when was the last time you found anything useful in page 2 of a Google search? No good can come of this. There's nothing but crusty Trojan viruses in any link clicked on past page 1. What this means then is that highly specific articles can make a lot of money, such as Jennifer Lopez's voluminous blowout is so big it must be full of secrets, if people are searching for them. But they aren't likely to be shown if people are just searching for hair blowouts. Maybe Jennifer Lopez blows, but not nearly as much as how to blow out your hair. High-up executives have chosen to pander to the lowest common denominator, common questions and search engine inquiries to cover as much ground as possible. And this goes beyond games journalists. Now, is there a way around it? Yes, but it's risky and takes longer. You have to stop trying to maximize short-term profit and plan out for the long game. Build up a reputation and name recognition so people look for you specifically. I could title this video Why Games Media Sucks and could no doubt attract onlookers with overactive amygdalas, but I don't want that kind of audience. And looking at these other games media sites, apparently it doesn't last that long. It doesn't help that they're at a disadvantage. Each outlet is one brand made up of different individuals and oftentimes with conflicting opinions, so they come off as wishy-washy or middlingly mild. They also don't believe that no news is good news, thus we end up here with games media sites lacking quality control and pumping out as many articles as possible to fight over SEO pennies. And you know what? I think it'd be funny if I made it harder for them. Once a week, every Monday morning, as you enjoy your parfaits, coffees, and cigarettes or what have you today. Enjoy your breakfast, and I'll see you next time.